Welcome to Touchline Talk by Soccerspective. We highlight world-class soccer managers and translate their tactics for youth soccer coaches. So whether this is your first time coaching youth soccer, or if you're a seasoned veteran, or just a fan of the game, welcome to Touchline Talk. Welcome to Touchline Talk by Soccerspective. I'm your host of Touchline Talk, Brandon Faust, and this name reflects our podcast mission to bring coaches closer to the minds of top managers, translate their sideline insights into practical advice for youth and grassroots soccer coaches. It's about understanding the game from a tactical perspective and empowering coaches to influence their teams just as effectively from their own touchlines. Our Soccerspective YouTube channel has well over 20,000 subscribers, and we are here to build another weekly resource through Touchline Talk to connect with and empower youth and amateur coaches. Hitting the like and subscribe button to the Soccerspective YouTube channel ensures that you always see when we release new podcast episodes and other coaching resource videos, which brings right to you all of the tactical insights and practical coaching tips. And don't forget to follow along with the Soccerspective podcast hosted by Jonathan, which touches on what's going on in the global game each and every week. So subscribing, it's a win-win. You'll elevate your coaching game with valuable content, and your support helps us grow and create even more resources for the soccer coaching community. The manager that we're going to feature today is Liverpool's Arne Slot. Arne Slot and Liverpool defeated Aston Villa. We're going to take a look at that game, and they defeated them 2-0 on Saturday, November the 9th. So Arne Slot, he's gained quickly a reputation as one of Europe's most innovative tactical minds. He's known for his energetic, high-intensity style, and he's brought a new level of pressing and team coordination to Liverpool, aiming at controlling games with and without the ball. He's kind of built off the platform that Jurgen Klopp has built over the past decade or so, and his approach combines attacking aggression with defensive discipline, and he's made Liverpool an unpredictable and unstoppable force in the Premier League as they find themselves at the top of the table. So why does he stand out? He's distinct because he focuses on maintaining high-intensity pressing throughout the game while fostering fluidity in attack. If you don't want to be disciplined in defense, then you're not going to play in a slot team. His teams are conditioned to pressure opponents aggressively, regain possession quickly, and then transition that directly into attack with speed. A lot of times people have said that Slot has become a trendsetter, and he draws comparisons to managers like Jurgen Klopp, Marcelo Bielsa, and Pep Guardiola, but with his own unique twists. Now, a little bit about Arne Slot, and we're going to talk a little bit about how you, as a coach, can integrate principles of pressing with various age groups. And so stick around for that. We're going to give you 2 drills at the end of this that you can implement quickly to start building that identity and ideas of pressing. So Slot's playing an early coaching career. His journey, he was a player primarily in the Dutch leagues, and he transitioned from playing in the Eredivisie to a highly respected coach in European football. And he's kind of noted for his deep tactical learning, both as a player and now as a coach. He started playing in the Dutch professional football setup, was mainly a midfielder known for tactical awareness, reliable technique, nothing flashy, just consistent, reliable. Played at FC Zwolle, which is now PEC Zwolle, in 1995. And then after several solid seasons there, in 2002, he moved to NAC Breda, which was playing at the time at a higher level in the Eredivisie setup, which was the Dutch top flight that he moved into. He also played at Sparta Rotterdam, FC Twente. In both clubs, he gained valuable experience and was known for his disciplined, intelligent play style, rather than flair or his physical prowess. He was not a standout star, but he was consistent, hardworking, tactically aware, which I think has really influenced his coaching style as he moved very quickly into being known as a coach with discipline, organization, and effective positioning of his players. He retired from playing in 2013, moved quickly into coaching, and drew on those experiences to develop a high-tempo pressing and positional play, which has marked his managerial career. Early in his career, he started coaching in 2013 at PEC Zwolle, where he had played before as assistant coach. In 2014, he moved to SC Cambuur And at Cambor, they really embraced his high-pressing, possession-based style. And then in 2017, really had that big breakthrough, moving to a bigger club at AZ Alkmaar in 17, and then was promoted to head coach in 2019. He implemented his style, his way. And in 2019-20, AZ Alkmaar finished second in the Eredivisie, just behind the mighty Ajax. And they were on track to challenge for the title, and the COVID-19 pandemic cut the season short. He was also noted for developing young players and getting them to understand his complex tactical systems effectively, which led him to, in 2021, Arne Slot took over at Feyenoord, huge club, storied history, but it was in need of a rebuild, revitalization. And he continued his pressing philosophy, adding flexibility, positional play, and the team transformed in 2022-23. He led Feyenoord to an Eredivisie title and breaking Ajax, yes, the mighty Ajax recent dominance, and his success at Feyenoord extended into European competitions as well, where the club made deep runs, including reaching the UEFA Conference Final in 2022. Fun fact, prior to the appointment of Daniel Farke at Leeds United in the summer of 2023, the club were in advanced talks with Arne Slot, but yet he stayed at Feyenoord, which was probably the best choice for him because the next year, on May 20th, 2024, Liverpool announced the successor of Jurgen Klopp would be Arne Slot. Slot's success at Feyenoord gained a lot of attention across clubs in Europe. Aggressive, unique, pressing, compact shape, and his attacking prowess really brought him into being seen as an innovative and adaptable manager. Slot has drawn inspiration from Johan Cruyff's philosophy, total football, high tempo, possession-based principles, but then has used some of those pressing tactics that we've seen from the likes of Bielsa and Pep Guardiola that we've often seen in the Premier League. He's often said that he's been influenced by coaches like Bielsa and Guardiola. And, his style, he stayed with it. He has a certain way he wants to play. And the intensity of his pressing style has really suited the physicality of the Premier League. He's concerned with rapid transitions into attack. And he's helped Liverpool's identity evolve and make them a more relentless pressing team with a little bit more tactical discipline than maybe they've had in the past. Slot often plays a 4-2-3-1, but then defends in a 4-4-2 for extra solidity. Other times it looks like a more fluid 4-3-3 that drops into defending like a 4-4-2, or often even appears as a 4-5-1 with like a number 10 or 8 coming in to join the number 9 in press. Oftentimes people ask, what's the difference between Jurgen Klopp to Arne Slot? It seemed like a seamless transition. I'm sure the players would tell you there's different demands. Klopp created mass chaos in pressing, where Slot teams are fine dropping out of a press into what looks like a block and then waiting for one or two passes and then pressing again. It's a little bit more controlled chaos, if you will. Slot's teams usually use a structured positional press, and they maintain compact in a defined shape, very well organized zones, if you will. And Slot's teams transition into offense quickly. They are deliberate in their buildup, using short, controlled passes, and then often looking for that big switch as well. Often the use of fullbacks, a little bit different. Klopp used those like overlapping fullbacks like Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andy Robertson, have made their careers in that. Where Slot often can, there's a lot that's happening centrally in the field, and then he wants, when he gets out wide, for there to be isolation, 1v1s, things of that nature. Okay, so some key kind of tactics that we're going to look at. And before we really get you some drills and different things for pressing, I want to show you a couple of things about how Arne Slot likes to press and all those kinds of things. But we want to show you one thing he loves to do in attack. There's kind of these 18 zones in soccer, if you will, dividing up the pitch all over. Zone 14 is the area that Slot loves to get numbers in attack. Players converge into this tight space. It might be after a press. It might be after a turnover. It might be out of a buildup. In this particular play that we're going to look at, There is a very defined kind of win deep in the field, some beautiful passing, some great spacing. They're transitioning. I mean, this is a beautiful kind of counterattack, if you will. And now they're getting numbers forward, and around that 14 zone, there's already 4, almost 5 Liverpool players and a 6th one coming into attack. They have numbers up. I mean, it is all out attack here. And now they're getting themselves, what you'll see in some of these players is they're even getting themselves, as they're moving into attack, ready to find their zones if they need to move into defense. And they get a great opportunity, ball into the box, little kind of 1-2, and the goalkeeper ends up making a good save here. But it's the transition. That's when we talk about transition play. Even if it's through a build-up, they're looking for these 1-2 balls as they get a lot of people in that zone 14, or even a lofted ball over top that you see that actually Barcelona used to do a lot of that with Messi. Or getting an isolation 1v1 because you have numbers, say 5v4, 5v3 in attack, and they often lay a ball off kind of to the penalty spot, if you will. And so that's one of the ways that they like to transition into attack. One thing that we had mentioned is that often Slot loves to use a 4-2-3-1 that moves into a 4-4-2 in defense. And in this diagram that you're going to see here is what we're watching is they drop off, the wings kind of drop off, and then the number 10 helps move up, and there's kind of like a swooping sort of press, right? Where they take away passing lanes to the number 2, and try to take away passing lanes to the number 5. When this happens, additionally, what's happening is the number 6 is now moving up into the number 10 spot and taking away anything centrally there. And then the ball is passed, say, to the other center back, and boom, 9 and 10 are now swooping over to block, passing lanes here. And it starts forcing the ball wide, which Slot teams love to do this, is force the ball to the boundary when they're pressing, because it serves as kind of like an extra defender, right? There's limited space. And then boom, next thing you know, you have wingers like Luis Diaz, Mo Salah, who are then pressing and pouncing to take away the pass that's up the line. And then the number 2, the right back here, often would be Trent Alexander-Arnold, can step in front of the winger and take away any sideline pass there. So now there's not a lot of options because it's shaded over all of this space that they're blocking passing lanes. You could maybe, if the keeper wants to get creative, or you're making your midfield do a lot of work here. So that's just one example of how Slot likes to press and kind of drop from that 4-2-3-1 into the 4-4-2, if you will. Then here we have from the game, the match against Aston Villa, is this idea of pressing to the boundary. And once again, the ball is being played out of the back. Center back has the ball, lays it off to the keeper because there's been pressing kind of lanes that are taken away. Now he has no choice but to go wide. You'll see Darwin Nunez, who's so great at this role, now is chasing in press. And then there's solidity here. You see McAllister trying to block away that side. Diaz is now been patient and waited, and now he's pressing. Now he's winning the ball here, and I think it ends up going out for a throw. So the person's pressing aren't always trying to win the ball. They're trying to maybe wait for 1 or 2 passes and then, boom, basically trap the other team, where you have numbers up in defense and they can't find a passing lane or go anywhere. Then we have different times. I know that Darwin Nunez is not always a clinical finisher, if you will, but this guy was built to be a number 9 in the Arne Slot system. What we have going on in this one here is Nunez is starting to press up there as the ball is being played back. He's pressing, okay? Then what we have is now Diaz is moving up and cutting away that pass up the sideline. The central midfielders here, looks like Curtis Jones and Alexis McAllister. They've got these guys covered. Now Diaz can step forward and double team with a heavy touch, finds a way to win the ball. McAllister gets it out of trouble. They play it over here, and now we're looking transition immediately into attack. With the big switch. You've got Mo Salah 1v1, and he actually ended up getting by this guy. It was pretty impressive. So that's why this pressing system moves directly into attack quickly, and it gives Liverpool time when they do switch it out wide. It gives those guys who are pressing a little bit of a break from the big energy of pressing and finding a way to get back into proper attacking positions. So what's really critical that we find from Slot here are those pressing triggers, if you will. Even in this diagram here, what we see is those two swooping forwards. They take away the midfielders. Midfielders have nowhere to go but to play the ball back. The center back then maybe has to play an angled ball up the wing, and then once again we see an opportunity for a press, a double team. Everyone's kind of taken care of, and so you have those different pressing triggers. There's some patience involved. They're compact vertically, and then they try to get, basically use the boundary when they double those wide trap areas. And we saw that in the game against Aston Villa, which really led to a lot of turnovers. If you watch that match, Aston Villa was really uncomfortable the majority of the match, and they've been a really great team. And so what we want to start saying is, okay, maybe we don't. If you're playing 7v7. How do you use this? If you're playing 4v4, how do you use this? If you're coaching 9v9, how do you use this? If you're coaching 11v11, how do you use this? You might not have all the tactical time with your team, but there's some simple things that we can start to do that get us thinking about ways in which we can start integrating a press and pressing principles into our team. You don't have to play a 4-2-3-1 to even do this. One of the very simple things that we love to do, and this is great at various age levels, is just emphasize through a rondo, through a 4v2 rondo, have two defenders in the middle, 4 players on the outside. The players on the outside, you want them moving the ball, 1-2 touch, 3 touch if you must, depending on age level and ability level. And then we want that first defensive player you see here in the blue to press. And then after the first pass, then the second player presses the ball, and the first player drops in to support in defense. And then we do the same again. Then the player, defender 1 presses again, and then player 2 is taking away passing lanes, passing options, being patient, okay? Waiting for a heavy touch, waiting for a misplaced pass, and how to learn how to support. You can do games with this. How many times can the defense win the ball and control it for 3 seconds? For 3 seconds, not just deflect it out of bounds, but how many times can they win it and possess it? And you can make these short, make these games of 1 minute, right? And then rotate the defenders to the outside, have players keep track of the score. But this really starts to integrate that philosophy of taking away passing angles as they press, right? Can player 1 take away a passing angle to this player that's on its right? And then can the supporting player deal with the other 2 players, right? And vice versa. The next one, and this one starts to get a little more advanced, and so you want to be mindful of that for your age groups, but it's still very practical to use. I think it's still very helpful for you to use. Is essentially what's happening in this one is it's a 4-box rondo, and it's essentially a 3v2 that becomes like a 5v3. Okay, so a 3v2 in each box that essentially becomes a bigger 5v3. And the defensive team has to have at least 1 player in each of the 4 boxes at a time. And then they can pressure the offense with a maximum of 2 players at a time in the box. So you kind of have that 5th player, number 8 here in the middle, that can move from box to box. And what we're trying to do here, right, we're focusing the coaching points on defense, is how do we have communication increase, who's going to the ball and who's supporting and being patient, and then who's helping rotate as the offense maybe switches the ball even to another box. Who's going to go into the other box? So it helps us with our communication as well. If the defensive or the pressing team can win the ball, then they can play 5v3 in the box and try to complete 3 passes, then it counts as a point, right? Because we're not just trying to deflect the ball, we're trying to win the ball and possess it and transition into attack. So if the defense wins the ball, the pressing team wins the ball, then they can complete 3 if they complete 3 passes, then it counts as a point, and we restart the drill with attacking players. Over time, rotate all the players after a few minutes, 3 or 4 minutes. So here's what we have. You can see here the number 8 player, the ball is in that box, so he or she is gonna come and help in that box. The ball's played out wide. Now the ball's played up into this other box. Now 7 and 8 are going to defend. 8 is going to come into that box. Remember, we have to have at least 1 in every box, every zone, if you will, but we can have a second here helping and support. Then what we have is, 8 wants to kind of stay in their zone, and so the ball moves into a new box. Number 10 is now helping support, and number 7 saying, I've got ball, and is putting pressure on the ball there. And so you can kind of continue that sort of rotation. It's fun. Offensive players are going to get a lot of touches, but we're really focusing on that press support. Now we're adding a real emphasis on that communicate. Who's going to go into press? Who's going to go into support? So this is going to help players understand pressing triggers, how to close down space, being patient, and how to regain possession and control and transition into attack. That's why it's really important to emphasize we don't want to just deflect the ball. We want to win the ball, possess it, and then move into passing like we would into a match. So encourage players to communicate and press together as a unit. Emphasize positioning to cut off passing lanes while approaching the ball carrier. Focus on compactness and anticipation. Encouraging players to recognize those pressing triggers, and have players rotate every 3 to 4 minutes and then keep score each round. How many times did we win the ball, and we get a point for 3 passes completed as the defensive team? How many points did we get? You can also incentivize the offense if they don't turn it over. How many can they get? 7 passes in a row or 5 passes in a row? That could count as a point for them, depending on how the match is going. You can kind of make that activity is going, how you can be fluid with that. Okay, so Arne Slot's advanced pressing system is complex, strategic, and absolutely critical to the current success of Liverpool. So whether you're coaching a 4v4, 7v7, 9v9, 11v11 format, these drills start emphasizing and introducing the principles of pressing with patient support of a teammate to try to win back the ball quickly, to give your team a chance to win the ball back and create a goal-scoring opportunity. Youth of all ages, they like to get the ball. And so this is a way to say, hey, this is how we help our team to win the ball back and to create our own goal-scoring opportunities. And this kind of activity, it's high energy. There's a lot of movement. There's a lot of learning opportunities. Let them run it out for a little bit, okay? Don't just correct it. Start asking those guiding questions as you continue to see this activity going on, and then correct, okay, who should move from this box to this box? Who should say, I've got ball? If you're the nearest person to where the ball is going, why don't you be the pressing person and the other person drop off and support? So I think these are building blocks, and really, you can modify. If you just wanted to do 2 boxes of those, that's totally fine too, depending on your numbers. But the principle of pressing, I'm telling you, even at the 7v7 level, sending up a number 9 and then having those wing players be patient, right? Let our 9 set the press. Let's see where the ball goes. And then where can we maybe double on a sideline? Where can we be patient? Where can we see a missed touch? Where can we support? Those are critical things, even when you're coaching 7, 8, and 9-year-olds in different formats. So just want to encourage you with that. These defensive principles of pressing off of a restart after a goal kick. And once the ball, starting from the build-out line gives you a natural kind of line that you start your press from. So Arne Slot, advanced pressing system, complex, strategic, and absolutely critical to the success of Liverpool. But for you, I think it can help you today and tomorrow as you coach these kids on how to press, how to defend, and keep shape so not everyone is chasing the ball all the time. Well, that's all we have for you on this episode of Touchline Talk. Drop us a like and subscribe to the Soccerspective YouTube channel. It helps deliver that content to you when it comes out, and also helps us grow in helping more and more coaches around the globe. Thanks, and we'll see you next time on Touchline Talk by Soccerspective.